Hello and welcome to this demonstration of AB Tutor version 9. In this video I'll give you a quick tour of the basic features of AB Tutor, covering the different parts of the interface, controlling clients, setting up policies and groups, managing events, and options available on the server. I hope this tells you everything you need to know about the software, but if you have any questions afterwards you can contact us by emailing sales@abtutor.com. AB Tutor has three components. In the middle is a central server which manages the connections and stores settings, data and logs. The client is installed on any computer that is to be controlled by AB Tutor, allowing it to receive and carry out any instructions. Finally, the console is used by teachers and network administrators to view and control the clients. The admin can control what the users have access to in the software, allowing different users different levels of control. This is the AB Tutor console, showing what a teacher or admin would see. On the left is a list of groups that the current user can access. In the middle we can see the devices in the currently selected group, showing the host name, who is using that computer, current policies and applications, the current version the device is on and what groups it's in. This panel can also be switched over to a thumbnail view, which gives a live view of all the computers in the group. These thumbnails can be rearranged and a background can be set, allowing them to echo the layout of the room they're in, helping the user tell which computer is being used and by who. On the right we have a context-sensitive panel which shows relevant options for the currently selected item. At the moment it's showing a list of actions that can be applied to the device, but it can also show information about events or policies. The bottom panel shows any events which have happened during the current session, and historical events can be accessed through the log viewer. Finally, in the bottom left we have the policies panel. While the actions on the right are things the user can do to a computer immediately, they can lock a computer now, they can send files now, the policies allow rules to be set that will remain on the client machine and affect it whenever appropriate. Back to the Actions panel. These actions allow the user to interact with the devices in their group. For example, we can watch a client, which gives a full-size view of their screen. From here we can share control of the remote machine, controlling it as if we're using its own mouse and keyboard. Alternatively, if necessary, we can use lockout to give ourselves control of the machine whilst taking control away from its user. We have an option to hear any sounds the computer is playing, such as from a YouTube video, and can start a text chat session with that device. There is also an option to take a screenshot in case evidence is required of what's happening on the client computer. Finally, we have options to show the client at full size or scale to fit the window and to go full screen. The next option is Demo. This allows the console screen to be sent to the selected clients, optionally with audio. The user can choose whether to send all of their screens, a specific screen, or even just part of a screen. This could be used with PowerPoint slides, for example, sending the slides to the clients but not showing the notes underneath it. You can also choose whether the demo is shown full screen on the clients, locking their computers, or whether it appears in a small window which they can move and resize, allowing them to continue to work in the background, perhaps copying what they're shown in the demo. The exhibit action allows one client screen to be shown to other users. This is useful if one of your group is doing a presentation, as it saves everyone else having to try to see their screen. Launch allows you to run programs, open documents or open websites on the selected clients. For example, you could send your group to a specific Wikipedia page, run a video from a network share, or open a word processor on as many computers as you want. You can also close programs from here or by right-clicking on their icon in the list view. Text chat allows the console user to send messages to the clients and to receive replies from them, and can optionally allow the clients to talk to each other under the console user's supervision. Audio chat is similar, although for voice rather than text. It also allows broadcast, where the clients can hear the console user, but not vice versa. Snapshot and capture allow screenshots or video recordings to be made of the client computers. This is typically used to gather evidence of misbehaviour. The default frame rate is set quite low in order to keep recording sizes down. AB Tutor can be used to lock client machines, displaying a configurable message and preventing any input to the computer. This can be used to quickly get the attention of users or to display messages. In AB Tutor 9, each user can create their own lock screen messages which don't appear in other users' menus, allowing them to create as many as they want without worrying about cluttering up the interface for everyone else. Admins also have the option of saving lock screens just for themselves or as global lock screens that all users can access. The customizable lock screens can be used to set up lock screens with lesson plans, so at the start of a lesson, students sit down at their computers but can't actually use them, they can only read the lesson plan. Then once the teacher is ready, they can unlock the computers, allowing the students to use them as normal. Send files allows the console user to push files out to the client, specifying where they're copied to. Collect file is the same in reverse, pulling specific files off the client onto the console computer, where they'll be renamed to show the original file name, the username of the logged in user, the machine name, and the date and time when they were collected. This makes it easy to tell which work belongs to who. Transfer files displays a Windows Explorer style tree view of both computers' file systems, and allows files to be dragged back and forth between the computers. Finally, in this section, the key sequences action allows specific keystrokes to be sent to clients, allowing tasks to be performed on multiple computers simultaneously. These functions can be used together as well. For example, a teacher might have an exam in a Word document which they could copy onto all their students' desktops at once using Send Files. They could then open that exam using Launch, leave the students to work on it during the lesson, and then when the time is up, use key sequences to send a Control-S to save the file, and then Collect Files to copy all of the students' finished exams onto their computer. The next section of the actions covers power options. You can turn computers on and off and log users on and off. All of the commands which could lead to a user losing data can be sent with a warning message and the option to allow the user to cancel the log off or shut down if they're still using the computer. Finally, at the bottom, we have some admin commands. These are designed for remote support use and allow the admin to view inventory information about a client, to see what services and processes are running on it, along with full control over starting or stopping them, a command prompt which allows DOS or bash commands to be run in the background, and at the bottom the Windows event log. Actions are very much instantaneous commands. If you click on the lock button, the client is locked immediately. For longer lasting rules, we have policies. These are shown in the panel at the bottom left, and new ones can be created quickly and easily. Any policy created consists of conditions and effects. The conditions specify when the policy should be active, effects specify what the policy actually does. For example, you could set a policy which is active only on certain networks, or certain wireless networks, so perhaps only when a laptop is taken home, or you could have it active based on the time of day or week. Each policy should be given a name, an appropriate icon and an icon colour to make it easy to tell them apart. You can choose how long a policy is applied for, in minutes, hours or days, or set it to permanent, meaning it will stay on that computer until removed. If you're an admin, you can set the policy to be shared, meaning that all users will see it, otherwise the policy will only be available for the person who created it. Admins can also protect policies, which means that normal console users won't be able to remove them. Finally, policies can be set to be disableable, which means they can be temporarily deactivated by users and automatically reactivate themselves after a set time or when the client user logs off. An example use case for this would be a Facebook block policy. An admin could block Facebook on all computers all the time, but if a teacher wants to do a social media lesson, they could temporarily disable the policy, allowing the students to go on Facebook. At the end of the lesson, when the students log out, the policy will automatically re-enable, so the next teacher doesn't have to worry about tidying up after the previous one. Policies allow you to block printers, applications, hotkeys, websites, external drives and internet access by port. Many of these allow either whitelisting or blacklisting, so you could allow only Wikipedia, or you could just block Facebook and Minecraft. You can also log activities on the client computers, including who uses them, what programs they run, what websites they go to, and even every single keystroke if required. Each of these options can be turned on and off individually, allowing you to find the right level of logging for your site. We have a privacy policy which can be applied to staff computers, allowing AB Tutor to be used for remote support, but only when the client user approves it. Keyword monitoring allows a list of words to be specified. If any of these words are typed on the client, all connected consoles will be notified and optionally shown a screenshot or video capture. We don't automatically lock the client in these cases, as there may be a good reason for what they've typed. Instead, we make it easy for the console user to react appropriately. We also support full word matching to remove false positives. For example, if the policy is watching for kill, it will pick up on words like killed, but also skill. With full word matching, it checks for spaces or punctuation around the word before it triggers, and with wildcards you can still trigger on kill and killed, but not skill. There are a number of policy effects which work identically to the actions we talked about before. However, as they're used as policy effects, they can be triggered on a schedule or on a network, giving them significantly more flexibility. For example, a policy could be created to shut down all the computers on the site at 5 PM, but with a warning message and the chance for the user to cancel the shutdown. This can be automatically repeated every half hour until the user is finished with the computer and allows it to shut down. The traffic light policy puts a traffic light icon in the system tray on the client machine. When the user clicks on it, it will cycle through the colours red, yellow, green and off, and the colour selected by the student will be displayed by their device in the console, allowing them to give quick feedback to the console user. Once a policy has been created, it can be applied to a client by simply dragging it onto the client's entry in the list. Policies can also be applied to groups, specific users and to all devices at once. Speaking of groups, these allow clients to be divided up for convenience. Typically a group will be made for each room that has clients in, however groups can also contain specific users. There are no limits to how many groups an item can be in, or how many items can be in a group, however keeping groups relatively small makes them easier to use. We also support dynamic groups where the client user can join a group themselves. This can be useful if the client users have their own computers and it hasn't been possible to set the groups up in advance. All groups can be assigned members. They can also have restrictions applied to them. These affect the console user who opened the group and allows admins to remove features of AB Tutor they don't want those users to have access to. Not only does this prevent the user from using that feature, it also removes it completely from the console interface. This means that the console can be made simpler for less tech-savvy users. With permissions and hostname restrictions, the admin can choose which users and computers are allowed to access the group, perhaps limiting access to a room's group to the computer at the front of that room. Policies for that group can be set here as well, which means that a policy can be applied to specific users and will follow them around whatever computer they use. Finally, you can specify a wake time for all computers in the group, turning them on at specific times on specific days. The Events panel shows any alerts that have happened during the current session. Selecting an event will show more details so you can see what triggered it and why. To see historical events, we have the log viewer, which allows you to search a range of dates and also filter by things like type of event, who was using the computer, or the current application. Again, events are shown as a list with basic information, and more details are available by selecting one or more of the events. The central server has a web interface for configuration and management. The dashboard allows quick access to some of the commonly used functions and an overview of the devices and users on the server. From the left menu, you can access a list of registered clients and can create or edit users on the server. From here, each user can have their password set and be assigned the roles that gives them access to different features in the software, such as admin access or the ability to create or use policies. Server settings allow the admin to configure email notifications, set up Active Directory sync jobs to automatically populate groups and configure event archiving. Device settings include configuring the alert dialog boxes that appear in the client and protecting it from uninstallation. And finally, you can also access the admin manual from here. We offer a free 30-day trial for AB Tutor. It's limited to 3 users, but otherwise has all of the features of the full version, allowing for thorough testing. If you have any questions about the software or would like to apply for a trial, please email us at sales@abtutor.com or sign up through the website. Thanks for watching, and I hope we'll hear from you soon.